Hi everyone. I just left a customer meeting, and this meeting was very insightful for me because I talked to a very experienced MuleSoft architect who is looking now into the MCP tooling, and they've built their APIs using API specifications. Means this is the way they implemented, scaffolded the implementation part, and exposed it as system, process, or experience APIs. And now they want to use MCP. The way we are positioning MCP is like, yeah, create your tooling and define exactly what are the resources you would like to consume. That's the standard approach we have been showcasing. But I believe there is a more attractive approach which this architect pointed me to, and I think it's super compelling. And the approach would be to just drop the MCP tool listener here. And I want to try this out. I've not tried it out, but I want to just show you that this API exists. I have tested it. It's there. It's available. It's deployed in my Cloud Hub. You can see this API is just activated again. And it's responding. I get the real-time feedback. If I ask something else on the material side, it will go and get me that specific quantity. That's cool. But the approach would be now to enable this API to become a tool listener. You will create something like this where you define a tool listener in a separate MCP project and then do the call out to that specific API. But if customers have been using the best practice of MuleSoft, scaffolded their APIs with API specs, they could potentially use the MCP connector. Let me get the right version and just drop the tool listener here, and that would be it. Let me just try it because I believe that would make things so much easier for our customers. Let's add here MCP server, and then we have 1.0.0. That doesn't really matter. The tool name is get inventory, and now I will just copy from the same similar API MCP which I created. I will enter all the data here. So let's go here, copy the schema, and I will paste the schema here. Then we go and copy the response type. This is here, and let's do that quickly. And I will redeploy this app. And if it is working, I think this is the most compelling thing we should be using to convert existing APIs into MCP tooling, because this is really converting a dedicated resource into MCP tooling. I think that's it. I've just added this functionality to my scaffolded API. I just dropped here my listener, and let's redeploy this API. And then we are going to test, first of all, if the API is still functioning with the core functionality we had. So just apply the changes, and it should be, yeah, this is fine, micro. So it will now deploy the API, but we are going to test if the API is working, and then we are going to access it via MCP and do a call out through that API to make sure the tool which we have now in this scaffolded approach is also working. Of course, you will have to decide what are the endpoints you want to expose here. Yeah, and only on those endpoints you will drop a tool listener. In my case, I only had one endpoint, so that was easy, but you may have multiple endpoints, so you will be just dropping the tool listener and then describing the schema, the tool itself, and the response part, and that would be it. So the API will be converted with selected endpoints into MCP tooling, and the whole configuration of that whole API will remain along the existing functionality, and the MCP tooling will be added on top of it. So that's pretty cool. So this has been deployed. Let me just see if the window is here. Yeah, it's deploying. So let me close that one. And now we can go here to see the applications applying configuration has started already. So it's about to be updated. And the moment it's updated, we are going to test it out. So let's give it a few seconds or minutes. And meanwhile this is happening, let's prepare the MCP part already. So I think it should be something like this, MCP, and I copy it here, copy like this, and here I will just paste it. And now we can wait until the application is deployed. Let me try if existing API is working, is still working. And here we don't have any update. Let me try, maybe sometimes it's already available. We can see it is already available on the same endpoint with a different resource. So this is my activated tool, and the existing functionality is still working. You can see I get the right material quantity. Now let me try it out. So if I enter here now, mule test 0, it should return 1,650,501. Cool stuff. This is now super easy to deploy, and I think this is the best approach to enable MCP tooling on selective API resources within MuleSoft, especially in use cases where you have been using the scaffolding through API specification. Hope this helps.